You ever have one of those Saturdays that just smacks you in the face, right out of nowhere? Yeah, that was me. A quiet morning, just a trip to the hardware store, maybe 40 minutes tops. And then my whole life turned into a damn circus. I mean, picture this. You pull back into your own driveway. The sun's already beating down, sweat rolling off your forehead, and you're thinking about mulch and screws and maybe, just maybe, a cold beer waiting on the porch when you're done. But what you get instead is a cracked front door, a door you always lock, even if you're just taking the trash out. That crack in the wood? That was the first sign the universe was about to take a big dump on my weekend. I just sat there for a minute in the truck, hands frozen on the steering wheel, staring at my house like I was waiting for it to blink. Then, swear to God, a shadow moved behind the living room window, slow, deliberate, like they owned the place. My stomach dropped. My mind jumped straight to break in, and my next thought was the dog. If someone hurt my dog, I was ready to bury them out back and not lose a wink of sleep over it. But I did what any halfway sane person does these days, called 911 before my feet even hit the porch. Dispatchers telling me, "Sir, stay outside, officers are on the way." So I'm pacing, keys in one hand, phone in the other, heart banging like a bass drum. Not 5 minutes later, cruiser pulls up. Officer Warren, big guy, military buzz cut, the look of a man who's already seen enough for 3 lifetimes. He tells me to hang back and heads inside, hand hovering near his holster. I hear voices, his, then others. Then, out of nowhere, he waves me in. Now, I'm expecting burglars or maybe some teenagers screwing around. But what do I find? 2 middle-aged people standing dead center in my living room. Beige pants, ugly neon green vests that scream HOA, one clutching a clipboard, the other a cheap tablet. They look like mall cops who took a wrong turn at Target and ended up in my house. Who the hell are you? I ask, because politeness left the building the second my front door was forced open. The woman, cool as a cucumber, goes, Green Pine HOA. We're conducting a compliance inspection in response to a resident complaint. I just blinked. Inside my house. Her partner chimes in. Voice as bland as oatmeal. Under Article 7, Subsection C of Green Pine HOA Code, we're permitted to enter community properties to verify complaints of hazardous conditions and aesthetic violations. I just stared. That's nice and all, but this isn't community property. This is my home, and I'm not in your damn HOA. They look at each other like I've just announced I was raised by wolves. All properties on this street fall under HOA jurisdiction, she says. We have the map on file. I have my deed. I shoot back. Bought this house because it wasn't part of any HOA. I like my grass long and my life private. Now get out. Officer Warren looks at me. They have any right to be here? Not a chance. He turns back to the dynamic duo. You're trespassing. Time to go. They grumble but leave, the woman smirking over her shoulder. You'll be hearing from the board. I just laugh. Yeah? They'll be hearing from my lawyer. That's how it started. I locked up behind them, the smell of lavender air freshener and authority complex hanging thick in my living room, and I just knew deep down this was far from over. So, yeah, that was my Saturday. Next morning, I'm nursing a cup of coffee, still replaying the insanity, and there's a bright orange envelope taped to my door. Official, big, bold print, the kind of envelope that feels like an IRS audit, and a parking ticket had a baby. Notice of violation. Immediate compliance required. I open it right there, hands shaking, not from fear, but from the pure, unfiltered rage of being called out. In my own damn home. They list infractions: overgrown lawn, unauthorized greenhouse, trash cans in the wrong spot, each worth $100 a day in fines. So, after breaking into my house, these folks double down and treat me like the villain? You gotta be kidding me. I did what any ticked-off homeowner does. I pulled out every paper, every survey, every closing doc from my file cabinet. Lot 18, Miller Hollow, not now and never part of Green Pine HOA. But they don't care. They've got their story and they're sticking to it. Couple hours later, there's a knock. It's Jerry, my neighbor, 70-something, white hair, always mowing his own damn grass. Heard about yesterday, he says, looking over his shoulder. They're going after you. I ask, who's they, Jerry? He just whispers, Karen. Now, I'd heard of Karen Landis, the The so-called Queen Bee, HOA president, always in a cardigan, always in control. They've done this before, Jerry tells me. Voice barely above a whisper. Start with folks on the edge, the quiet ones. Claim some retroactive vote, say majority rules. Most people fold, it's easier. And suddenly I get it. This wasn't random, it was a pattern. Sure enough, next few days, more envelopes. One's even hand-delivered. HOA seal all shiny in the corner. Says my property's been annexed via community resolution. And I've missed the window to contest. Apparently, silence equals consent. How about that? They try to trap me with bureaucracy, paper walls, fake maps, just enough legalese to scare most people into giving up. But not me. I found a lawyer, Camila Rose, sharp, not the stuffy type, nose ring, coffee mug that says sue me. She's seen Greenpine's tricks before. I hand her my docs. They broke in without a warrant, right? She asks. And you're sure you're excluded from the HOA? Positive. Camila just grins. Then let's start swinging. She fires off a cease and desist letter. Slaps them with the law, names Karen personally. But Greenpine pushes harder. Next, a landscaping crew shows up, unannounced, starts ripping out my roses and measuring my porch like they're planning a renovation. I storm outside, coffee in one hand, phone in the other, tell them to leave. They ignore me until I threaten legal action and maybe a few choice words. That gets him moving. Camila tells me to start documenting everything. So I do, photos, receipts, statements, even put up cameras. And that's when it gets weird. One night, I'm at home, hear knocking, not on the door, on the garage wall. Step outside, and there's a private security guy in my driveway. Vest patch says HOA Compliance Patrol, looking like he's auditioning for a RoboCop reboot. Sir, we've received reports of hazardous chemical storage in your greenhouse. You mean Miracle-Gro and Weed Killer? I ask, almost laughing. He wants to inspect. I tell him he needs a warrant. He stands his ground until I threaten to call the police, and then he finally backs off. Camila files for a restraining order, and the judge signs off, quick as lightning. But instead of backing off, the HOA just switches tactics. They publish a hit piece in the community newsletter, When One Home Harms the Whole. Not naming me, but everyone knows. Flyers start showing up with grainy photos of me, nasty headlines. My phone starts blowing up, texts, voicemails, people asking if I'm okay, others not so friendly. And in the thick of it all, a twist. A woman from another street approaches me. After court, tells me she got fined $400 for curtain color, then reported for running an unlicensed daycare. Except she doesn't have any kids. She says, people are watching you fight. We've all been waiting for someone like you. Next thing I know, a half dozen neighbors are coming forward, stories of bogus fines, forged votes, and being bullied into submission. Camila files a class action, 10 plaintiffs, Greenpine HOA and Karen Landis named personally. Local news picks it up, runs a piece called HOA or Hostile Takeover, and suddenly, Karen's scrambling, spinning her own version of events. But it doesn't matter. The truth's coming out. And then, late one night, it escalates. Loud crack wakes me up. I smell smoke, run outside, and my trash can's on. Fire, spray paint scrawled across my garage. Tyrant. The security footage catches Karen herself, hood up, setting the blaze, tagging my property. Within hours, she's filed a police report on me, claiming I'm the threat. But when the cops show up, I just hand over the footage, clear as day. By noon, Karen's hit with her own restraining order. The story's all over the local news. And folks across town start sharing their own HOA horror stories. Camila and I dig deeper and find out Karen's been getting kickbacks, her so-called consulting firm pocketing fees every time the city finds a resident, all through some beautification fund. It's a racket, plain and simple. Fast forward to court. Packed house. Media everywhere. Karen looking like she's on her way to a funeral. All black, sunglasses indoors. Camila lays out every bit of evidence. Trespassing, surveillance, forged docs, financial schemes, the works. The judge doesn't waste time. Mrs. Landis, you are hereby removed from any official capacity in Greenpine HOA, he says, and refers her for criminal charges. HOA board put under court supervision. All fines frozen. Class action moves forward. And suddenly, I'm not the villain anymore. I'm just the guy who stood his ground. But here's the thing. Winning didn't bring balloons or banners. Just quiet. No more envelopes taped to my door. No more drones buzzing overhead. Just neighbors waving again. Kids playing, dogs barking, summer barbecues. Jerry mowed the edge of my lawn and left me a thumbs-up note. Camila calls it community. Unlearning. Folks realizing maybe they'd gone along with something rotten, not out of malice, just because nobody told them not to. Karen moved. Word is she's in Arizona now, running a Facebook group about community pride or something. But the deeper we dug, the more we realized this wasn't just about one HOA, one Karen. This was a whole system. Camila started a nonprofit to help homeowners stand up for themselves, and now I meet people every week, tell them my story, show them the footage, remind them, you're not alone, and you're not crazy. And you know what? Life got better. No more violations, no more fines, just peace. Messy, honest, imperfect peace. So let me ask you, was I right to fight back? Was it about justice or just stubborn pride? Drop your thoughts below. I want to hear your HOA war stories, your wins, your losses, hell, even your best Karen tales. Hit subscribe if you want more stories like this. Smash that like button if you're sick of power-hungry bullies. And tell me, what does real community mean to you? Because at the end of the day, all I know is this. You only lose your home if you let someone take it. And I'll be damned if that's ever going to happen again.